All right, today, Andy, we have some disappointing news for some of you. Not all of you. Some of you are going to be excited, but we do have some things to tell you about because if you've been watching mass news, right, national news, you are hearing about price drops and really big issues in the housing market. And to no surprise to us, that's not what's happening in North Texas.
You're telling me the market's not crashing?
The market is not crashing in North Texas. We are hearing some really negative things in the national news. So I know some of you are just waiting for this market to just fully crash so you can really invest in North Texas real estate. And it's still a good time to invest in North Texas real estate, but maybe not for what some of you are waiting on. Some of you are sitting around waiting for that 2008 financial crash where everything goes into foreclosure. And we are very much not expecting that. Am I right?
No, definitely not. I've had people come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, the Houston market's crashing. Is the North Texas market crashing? I'm like, no, the numbers are not saying that.
No. So we're excited to bring you this market update. December is always a tough month to compare to. So we did that market update in January, really showing everybody what was happening in December. And it's that winter month. It's kind of the slowest time of the real estate cycle normally. So January has given us some really, really good numbers that are super exciting. So we're just going to dive right in and we are going to start with Dallas, Texas. Let's start with Dallas, Andy. What do we got?
All right. So we are going to hold our paper. We don't know all of the stats off the top of our heads.
It's a lot of numbers.
Give us a break. So in Dallas, the average list price in January went up to $639,881. That is up from $502,846 for the list price average in the city of Dallas.
Guys, that's huge.
That's
right?
crazy.
130,000, give or take?
130,000.
Yeah, 130,000 increase on average list price in Dallas. So that's great news for some of you, especially if you want to sell your house.
For sure. And then the sales price to list price ratio did actually go down. So that is good and bad, I guess, the way you look at it, right?
Yeah. You know, it went down very little from 98.8% to 98.1, which means if you list a house for 600,000, you're going to get 98.8% of that instead of 600,000. So that number went down just a little bit. By 0.7%. So we're still seeing really good list to sell price ratios. And really what this means is we are getting much closer to listing the houses at where the market will sustain. So that's why we're seeing these 98%. That is a really strong market for both buyers and sellers.
Well, and a lot of times the reason that number's not at 100% is because people are still listing their home over their home's value.
Yep.
So the reason you're not getting 100% is because your home is listed above what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but a 2%, 1% drop off of that total price, that's a really strong market for us. So we're excited to see these numbers.
Also, our days to sell in the month of January only took 43 days on average to sell a home in Dallas. That is up about 4 days from December, but that's not much of a rise.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this in the last market update. Those days on market, when we have a balanced market, we call that 6 months, which means you could put your house on the market, it could sit for 6 months before it sells. So, you know, when we talk about 43 days, 39 days on the market, this is a really strong market, still a strong market for sellers, why we're still calling this a seller's market.
Yeah, for sure. And then this one's going to blow you guys away. So the number of new listings in the city of Dallas in January was 1,016 homes.
Yeah, and that number doesn't even sound huge based on historic years. If we go back to 2018, 2019, we might find that number's low. But what was that number from that December, from last month's market update?
Yeah, so in December we were at 293 new listings.
Yeah, so we went up by 700 new listings, guys. That's what's happening in the market. We are starting to get some inventory. So we're going to watch this increase as we get into these spring months, which is back to our normal real estate sales cycle. And that's the exciting news because we had that 2 years of COVID that we can't compare to, right? We cannot compare our market to 2020, 2021, really even a lot of 2022. So we're going back to 2019 and saying, is this normal? And guys, this is normal. So that's the great news today. Again, some of you are disappointed, but it's great news.
All right, so moving on to the city of Frisco, the average list price in the city of Frisco in December was $798,293. This is based off of all residential homes.
Okay.
So in January, it went up to $812,858. We did go up around $14,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those average price points are continuing to go up. Dallas, now Frisco, we're starting to see a trend.
Yeah, and the sales price to list price ratio did go up about 0.3%. So it went up, but I mean, it didn't even go up a full percent.
Yeah, we're still looking around that 98 percentile list price to sell.
Yeah, and then the days to sell, it went down a couple of days, which is great, but we are still right around 2 months at 62 days. Previously, we were at 66 days.
Yeah. Comparing that to 6 months, which we call balance, we're still in a seller's market.
Yeah, so not too bad. And then for the number of new listings in the city of Frisco, in January, we're at almost 200. We're at 199 new listings for the month of January. And for the number of new listings from December was only at 59.
Yeah.
So we did go up 150 listings or so.
Trending all in the right direction.
Yeah.
All right, let's move north and talk about Prosper a little bit. So that average list price in Prosper for January is $882,000. That is up about $35,000 from the previous month. Same thing on the sales to list price ratio. We're at 96.8. We were 97.3 last month. We're still around that 96, 97 percentile. Days to sell went way down from 88 days to 69. So we're seeing that number improve on the seller side. And then again, number of new listings. We're only at 111 new listings in January for Prosper, but that was up from 27 in December. So all things continuing to trend in the right direction. And I want to touch on this days to sell again. When we're in markets like Prosper and as we move north to Celina in the next part of this market update, we have a lot of new construction happening, and that does skew our days on market. If a builder puts a home on the MLS 90 days before it's even available to close, we're looking at 90 days to sell, right? That list to sell, days on market. So it does skew our numbers a little bit more than we see in markets like Dallas, even Frisco that is really predominantly built out. Even though we have some new construction, we're going to see those numbers look a little different when we get into the new construction areas because it does skew our numbers a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then going into Celina, so the average list price in the month of January was $696,433. That is up about around $10,000 from $685,655 from the month of December. Our sales price to list price ratio went up 0.2%. So that's great. And then our days to sell did go up a little bit, but like she was just saying, a lot of this is new home inventory, a lot of homes that are still being built. If you look on the MLS or if you see something on Zillow that's been on the market for 185 days, it's probably because the builder put it on before they ever started constructing the home. Yep. So that's obviously something to consider. There are a lot of outliers in the days to sell that kind of strews that number a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
did you say strews the number?
I did just say it strews the number.
It skews the number or screws the number, even one, but it doesn't strew the number.
You know what? We're right down the middle. Strews it. It strews it. So the number of new listings went up a ton in the month of January. We went up to 112 listings in Celina in the month of January. That is up from 37 listings in the month of December.
Yeah, so for buyers in the market, or you want to be a buyer in this market because you are tired of renting, and if you started renting during COVID, your rental rate is probably ridiculous, and it's probably even been increased at your most recent renewal. So guys, stop paying $3,000 a month to rent. Stop paying $2,000 a month in an apartment. We can definitely help you, and if it's outside of one of these 4 cities, we use these for just kind of a little sampling of what's happening in North Texas, because we have everything from Dallas that is very well established all the way up to Celina, which is considered a future growth, a lot of equity growth. We have a lot of outlying areas like Anna, Melissa, Van Alstyne, all the way north to Sherman that give you a lot of a really, really good opportunity to get into the market, even as a first-time home buyer. So guys, let's get off the hamster wheel, stop paying somebody else's mortgage. Let's get you into a home this year because there are a lot of options. We're back to really standard offers, and that's why we talk about this sell to list price ratio. When we were in the crazy COVID months, we were seeing these numbers as high as 112%. We were seeing 120% on certain specific listings. We were seeing a lot of cash over. We're not seeing that anymore, right? I'm not going to say there's not exceptions. Some of the best homes, if they're priced just right, we're going to see some competitive bidding. But for the majority of our buyers, especially in these early spring months, we have some really great opportunity to get into the market, get you guys out of, paying somebody else's mortgage. And then it's still a great time for sellers. We're still calling this a seller's market because we are at this 97, 98% list to sell price, and our average price points just continue to increase as we get out of the winter months into the spring months, and that's due to supply and demand.
Yeah. So if you would like us to go ahead and pull numbers for another city, we can totally do that, right? We can pull the stats.
Absolutely.
We can look at the average list price, sales price to list price ratio, days to sell, number of new listings. If you have other information that you would like us to pull, we can also do that as well.
Yep. There's a link down below for our market report tool, which you guys can get live. It's updated every Friday and it compares week over week. So that's a really great tool to have if you're in the market, you're thinking about buying or selling. That'll give you a great weekly update and they can check that. They can change the city. You can do whatever you want in there. So that's a really cool tool. Check that link down below and sign up for that weekly update.
Yeah. And if you'll go ahead and like the channel, subscribe, we would love to have you around. We do these monthly. And then again, just to reiterate, this is for the month of February, going off of the stats from the month of January.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you in the next video.